to Staffworks Explained. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. In this video, we'll be talking about Kenya, where Kenya risks losing the Microsoft billion-dollar data center investment. In the global race for artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and digital infrastructure, hesitation can become surrender. That is an uncomfortable position Kenya now finds itself in after a planned $1 billion, approximately 129 billion Kenya shillings, hyperscale data center project involving Microsoft and UAE-based AI giant G42 stalled amid disagreement with Kenyan government over guarantees, electricity capacity, and regional commercial commitment. The project was initially announced in 2024 during the Washington state visit by William Ruto and was presented as one of the most important digital investments in Kenya history. The facility was expected to anchor the new East African cloud region powered by geothermal energy from Olkaria and position Kenya as the digital gateway for artificial intelligence and cloud services across the region. But 2 years later, construction has not begun. Instead, the project has entered a difficult phase of negotiations, exposing deeper questions about Kenya's readiness for next generation of digital infrastructure. At the center of dispute is a simple but politically dangerous question. Can Kenya realistically support a hyperscale AI data center at the scale Microsoft wants? And if it cannot, could another African country, particularly Ethiopia, seize the opportunity instead? What Microsoft wanted from Kenya? The proposed facility was never intended to serve Kenya alone. Microsoft and G42 envisioned a regional digital infrastructure, which is a hub capable of serving East Africa's growing demand for cloud computing, artificial intelligence processing, enterprise storage, cybersecurity services, government digital systems, fintech infrastructure, as well as next generation data services. This was not an ordinary server facility. It was a hyperscale AI infrastructure project, and that distinction matters. Traditional data center primarily store and process information. Hyperscale artificial intelligence facilities, however, consume enormous computing power because artificial intelligence workloads require massive quantities of electricity, cooling system, and network bandwidth. According to reports, Microsoft wanted Kenya to provide several assurances before fully committing: guaranteed annual uptake of cloud capacity, regional market mobilization, network connectivity support, and long-term infrastructure reliability. In simple terms, Microsoft wanted confidence that the East African market would actually use enough cloud services to justify the enormous investment. That is commercially understandable. Hyperscale infrastructure projects are expensive to build, even more expensive to operate. Investors therefore seek anchor demand, guaranteed customers or usage commitment that ensure baseline revenues before expansion begins. Globally, governments often support such projects indirectly through public cloud adoption, digital migration policies, tax incentives, power guarantees, or long-term procurement frameworks. But Kenya hesitated. Why Kenya is hesitating? Kenya's concerns are not irrational. The government appears worried making commercial guarantees it may not legally or financially sustain. The ICT Principal Secretary, John Tanui, publicly acknowledged that some of the Microsoft requests involve issues controlled by market forces rather than direct government authority. He specifically pointed to the regional cloud uptake and procurement decisions across multiple East African jurisdictions. That's a critical point. Microsoft reportedly wanted Kenya to wants the Kenya facility to serve the broader East African market, not merely Kenya. But Kenya cannot force Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, or regional private firms to become guaranteed customers. Nor can Kenya fully guarantee future digital demand in rapidly evolving technology market. From a public finance perspective, government caution is understandable. Large guaranteed capacity agreement can become politically dangerous if actual market demand underperforms, government risk becoming financially exposed to infrastructure they did not fully utilize. Kenya is already under pressure from debt servicing, fiscal deficit, IMF's reforms, and public criticism over expensive mega projects. Committing to a larger long-term cloud guarantees could become politically explosive if citizens perceive the government as underwriting private technology infrastructure during economic hardship. Now, the bigger problem, which is the electricity. But the real issue may not be cloud demand. It may be power. This is where the project becomes truly complicated. The original proposal envisioned an initial capacity of approximately 100 megawatts, eventually scaling toward 1 gigawatt. That is huge amount of electricity. To understand the scale, Kenya's total installed capacity currently sits at roughly between 3,000 and 3,002 megawatts. Peak national demand recently crossed the 2,400 megawatts. A full 1 gigawatt hyperscale facility could therefore consume close to one-third of Kenya's current installed generation capacity. President Ruto himself acknowledged of the scale dramatically when he remarked that powering facility could require switching off half the country. The statement sounded exaggerated to some people. It was not. Artificial intelligence infrastructure now colliding with global electricity realities. Across the world, major technology companies are discovering that electricity, not computing chips, may become the greatest bottleneck in the artificial intelligence revolution. Even in the United States, multiple hyperscale data centers projects have reportedly been delayed due to power constraints. Kenya is therefore confronting a problem many advanced economies are also facing. AI infrastructure consumes staggering amount of power. Why Olkaria was so important? The proposed location in Olkaria was not accidental. Kenya possesses one major advantage a few African countries can currently match: large-scale geothermal energy. Geothermal provider or power provides relatively stable baseline or baseload electricity, lower carbon emission, renewable energy branding, and long-term supply stability. For Microsoft, this mattered hugely because major global technology firms are under increasing pressure to power AI systems using cleaner energy sources. The Kenya project was therefore strategically attractive because it aligned with AI expansion, renewable energy, and Africa digital growth. In many ways, the project represented exactly the kind of infrastructure partnership Kenya has been trying to attract: high-value, technology-intensive, green-powered, and globally strategic. But geothermal alone may not be enough at the scale Microsoft want. Now, Ethiopia is now the bigger threat. If Kenya cannot structure the deal successfully, Ethiopia may emerge as the strongest alternative. That possibility is becoming increasingly realistic after the completion of the expansion of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GAD. GAD has dramatically altered East African energy equation. Ethiopia now possesses one of the continent's largest electricity generation ambitions, with surplus power increasingly becoming part of its regional economic strategy. And unlike Kenya, Ethiopia's challenge is increasingly not generational capacity, but modernizing excess electricity production. That changes everything. Hyperscale AI infrastructure needs exactly what Ethiopia is increasingly has: large power reserves, lower generation cost, long-term expansion capacity, and strategic interest in industrial electricity consumption. For years, Ethiopia lagged Kenya in terms of digital infrastructure, investor perception, connectivity, and technology ecosystem maturity. But the AI era may reorder some of these advantages, because in the next phase of cloud infrastructure competition, electricity availability may matter more than startup ecosystem. That is dangerous strategic shift for Kenya. But Kenya still has advantages Ethiopia does not. However, declaring Ethiopia the winner prematurely would also be misleading. Kenya still holds major structural advantages: stronger regional connectivity, more developed fiber infrastructure, mature fintech ecosystems, stronger international tech presence, better digital startup integration, and deeper regional cooperation, corporate influence. Safaricom, M-Pesa, Nairobi's technology ecosystem, and Kenya's broader digital economy still make the country East Africa's strongest commercial technology hub. Microsoft understands that, which is why the project has not officially been abandoned. The real issue is whether Kenya can scale its infrastructure quickly enough for the artificial intelligence era. Now the hidden problem, and this is what few are discussing. One of the least discussed aspects of this dispute in the region is the regional market problem. Microsoft reportedly wants Kenya to help mobilize neighboring countries into Azure ecosystem. That reveals something important. East Africa cloud demand alone may still be too fragmented to immediately justify hyperscale artificial intelligence infrastructure at the proposed scale. That creates a commercial risk. Unlike Europe, China, or United States, East Africa still has uneven cloud adoption, fragmented digital regulations, varying cybersecurity laws, inconsistent government procurement system, and different digital maturity levels. Microsoft appears to want Kenya not just as a host country, but as a regional digital anchor capable of driving cloud integration across East Africa. That is much bigger geopolitical and commercial role. Could Kenya still save the deal? Yes, but the structure may need to change. Several options remain possible. Scaling down the first phase, phased power expansion, shared regional financing model, public-private cloud adoption partnership, and staggered capacity guarantees. Reports already suggest discussions are around small-scale configurations continue. That may ultimately become the compromise. From a project management perspective, phased implementation is often more realistic for mega digital infrastructure projects than immediate hyperscale development, especially in emerging markets. Why this matters far beyond one data center. This project is not merely about servers and cloud storage, it's about positioning. Whoever dominates hyperscale AI infrastructure in East Africa could shape regional cloud services, AI development, fintech scaling, cybersecurity ecosystem, digital sovereignty, and the next generation of enterprise technology. The stakes are therefore much larger than one investment deal. This is about who becomes East Africa digital capital in the AI era. For years, Kenya looked like the obvious answer. Now, competition is intensifying. In conclusion, we can say that the stalled Microsoft G42 data center negotiations expose both Kenya's strength and its vulnerability. Kenya successfully positioned itself as East Africa's digital gateway to build one of Africa's largest fintech ecosystem. They developed geothermal energy capacity many countries envy. And it attracted one of the world's biggest technology companies into serious infrastructure negotiations. But attracting digital mega projects and sustaining them are two different things. The AI era demands something far larger: massive electricity reserves, hyperscale infrastructure planning, regional digital coordination, commercial cloud maturity, and long-term state capacity. Kenya still possesses major advantages, but hesitation carries risks because technology companies move towards certainty, toward scalable infrastructure, toward reliable energy, and toward predictable commercial ecosystem. And if Kenya cannot provide that environment quickly enough, another country eventually will. Perhaps Ethiopia, perhaps somewhere else. The danger of Kenya is not merely losing one data center, it is losing leadership in the next phase of Africa's digital economy. So thank you for reaching this far. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also hit the notification bell so that whenever you upload a new video, you are notified. So let's meet in the next one. Thank you.